share my screen in a moment in order to show that grid and then provide you the background. John, I just realized I am not recording.
I noticed too, so I started recording.
Thank you.
Yep. It may be worth just briefly touching on everything we just did. I don't mean we have to go through in real time, but call to order. What was that at 6:35?
6:36.
Okay, 6:36. Then approve the meeting minutes from our October meeting.
Yes, so since we're just recording, let's review. For those of you who may be watching a recording of this meeting, we called to order at 6:36. We had an approval of minutes moved by Gretchen Goldstein, seconded by Devin Weibel. All were in favor. There were no public comments. There were no committee member comments. And now we have moved on to the K-5 math textbook resources for the 2021-2022 budget proposal. So with that in mind, I want to provide a little bit of a background. Currently, Easton and Reading elementary schools use Math in Focus. That is the current resource in use. It will no longer be available in its current version at the end of the 2020-2021 school year. This year is the last year of a 6-year subscription. At the time that we made the move to Math in Focus, there were many new things before us, including a recent adoption of the Common Core standards. Much has changed since the adoption of Math in Focus. There is a greater need for integrated technology and embedded assessments and intervention supports within a core program. This reduces a teacher or school's need to layer a collection of resources and supports in order to provide needed individual student support and enrichment. Last year, the K-5 math specialists in Easton and Reading embarked on a study of other available resources that were recommended by EdReports, which is a nonprofit organization that reviews educational materials to improve K-12 education. The math leadership team requested materials from roughly a dozen publishers and reviewed them using district established criteria. The team whittled an initial set of 11 resources to 9 to 6 over the course of the year. This fall, math specialists, K-5 teacher representatives, and building and district administrators heard sales presentations about the top 6 selected resources. From those 6, follow-up discussions further narrowed the selections to 3. The math textbook group asked a set of questions to the vendors of the final 3 choices and participated in a remote discussion and question and answer session. Based on the discussion and additional review, the Easton and Reading math leadership team recommended to the joint Easton and Reading textbook committees in our December meeting, which was not an official meeting for Easton, the adoption of Envision as the core math curriculum resource. And so what you can see on my screen is a table that includes all of the criteria that we use to evaluate the various resources, along with the notes in parallel format about the 3 top resources. So while you can see that there's certainly all 3 resources meet sort of the minimum criteria, we felt strongly that Envision provided a more comprehensive program with a great deal of embedded technology, assessments, and intervention within the core program. And I'm reinforcing core program because in some cases, a publisher resource has a program and then a district has the option of purchasing additional options or add-ons. And the components that we were most interested in were really part of the core program that Envision presented. So you can see here our notes regarding each one of the programs. The other aspect that really stood out to us, frankly, about all three, but Envision strongly included a student-centered approach. And when I say student-centered approach, each one of the either units or lessons began with I can statements, allowing the student to name the skill or concept that they felt that they understood, and that presented the foundation for the prior knowledge moving forward, which is really a departure from what those of us in education think of as a more traditional, perhaps even antiquated approach, where the adult owns the learning and the adult simply states, last time we, and today you will, and it's the adult telling the students what they know how to do, as opposed to the students really taking ownership over that. So that was quite appealing. We also liked the extensions with STEM activities, English learner options, and project extensions. Really thought project extensions were very appealing, especially that we are often interested in how we can extend students and provide enrichment, as well as provide needed intervention and support. This program also allows teachers to edit assessments while still having assessments be aligned to standards. This is such an important element in our work to be sure that students are working towards mastery. And in a more traditional program, it would be necessary for either the math specialist or the teacher to do an item analysis in order to figure out if the correct answer to a problem was tied to a given standard. And that's quite a laborious process. And so because these assessments are available digitally, but can also be downloaded and printed and then edited, the teachers are able to do that type of analysis. In addition to that, they can also analyze the items by depth of knowledge level, which shows the level of critical thinking that's embedded in the item. So you can see more of the notes here that we made about each of the programs.
Stephanie, can I just add some of my impressions from the meeting that we had was it last week?
Yeah.
Was it December? It's all a blur. It may have been March. We had the math specialists on, and they gave quite a bit of detail about their process and thinking on this, and clearly did a lot of work here. The thing that most struck me was we are in this process of talking about our math textbooks, but that's not actually what we're doing, right? If we really look critically at the way that this has evolved, it's not about buying the textbook, it's about buying a math program, a sort of a suite of, yes, there's the workbooks and that sort of printed thing that people will have, but it's about the online resources, it's about the parent resources, it's about sort of all of those things coming together, including the assessments that Stephanie mentioned. And I think it's really a really important thing for us to make sure that we're being mindful of, is that we're buying a math platform here more than just a textbook.
Thank you for bringing that up, John, because it's definitely worth noting that Envision is the purchase indeed of a platform with consumable materials. That is different than a more traditional hardcover textbook. So typically, the first year of a textbook resource includes a bubble payment, because that bubble payment includes the purchase of the non-consumables, the hardcover textbooks that sometimes go home with students, sometimes sit on shelves, sometimes are used for study. In this program, it's integrated into the consumable. And that's appealing because it also becomes a resource for the home. So while the students are doing, what we would think of as traditional workbook kinds of activities, when those go home, the parents have the benefit of seeing the explanation of the concept, explanation of activity that would typically be found in the textbook. The textbook itself, that hardcover text, does not exist with this program. So the purchase includes basically a digital subscription with all the integrated materials, and then also the print consumable materials and the teacher's guide. Are there other questions? So we also looked at the number of years that the boards want to commit to the resource. And the thinking from the last discussion was that 3 years sounds like a good amount of time, given that things are changing so quickly with technology integration into resources, and that anything short of 3 years makes me uncomfortable, honestly, because I worry that the teachers will not have enough time to really fully use the program to the level of what I would say their own ownership of it. And if we go much further than 3 years, even though we can certainly explore 5 years, we have a proposal for that. We don't want to feel tied in if there are other resources that become available that represent more advancements.
Stephanie, I don't know if, I know there was some discussion about the possibility of doing a sort of doing the contract in such a way that we could actually get some of these resources into the hands of our educators before they, go on summer break. And then I think we also had some discussion about the possibility of doing a sort of a parent session where a parent session where parents could come on and get a sort of tutorial from the company about how they're, sort of how they would access their resources.
Yes, I've been working with our sales representative about both of those things. It is certainly possible, as well as as long as we can provide the necessary financials to do this, to begin some of our work with the program early. We can purchase, say, the teacher manuals, and then have just enough of the student samples that would allow us to begin the professional development process. The initial professional development is really more of an introduction to the program. And to me, it would really be ideal if we could begin that in late spring. I would like to be able to send our teachers off for the summer with some understanding of what the year will entail for our students and an introduction. So then the professional development could continue into the fall and be more in depth. And then the third phase of the professional development is more personalized coaching, and that would happen in small groups. So the initial PD would be shared between Easton and Reading, and it would be, larger group. And right now we're planning everything remotely. And as we move ahead, I would like us to be at the point where it could be more of a coaching style. I think our teachers really don't need an introduction to the philosophy behind how we build conceptual understanding. That's so much a part of a longstanding commitment in our districts. But they will need to understand the ins and outs of the program, how to use all the resources and the materials, and how to edit documents, and then ultimately coaching around common instructional strategy topics, such as how do you run small groups in a math classroom, which is often a challenging thing to tackle. So yes, that is a long answer to your question, John. That is certainly possible. At the parent end of things, the program does not include sort of live parent PD, but what was suggested, and frankly, what we've done many times in years past, is that the math specialist as content leaders become more expert on the resource, and then it's our math specialists who provide the professional the presentations to our parents, which works well for us, honestly, because our specialists really understand our community. They know where we've been, and then they can cater to the needs of the group.
Great, thank you.
Are there other questions? Other topics along this that we would like to discuss? Okay, then is the group ready to take action?
Yes.
Devin, would you like to make a motion?
I make a motion to adopt or make a motion to move forward with the Envision curriculum. Is that the right?
So I think the motion that you're making is a recommendation to the full Easton Board of Education, the recommendation to adopt the new K-5 math resource Envision.
Correct. So
Yeah,
I
so
would
moved.
like to, yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
So moved.
And do I have a second?
Second.
Oh, I heard Jenny.
Yes, I heard Jenny.
Good.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Eyes
So-
on hand raising.
So I'm going to actually, this is an important motion. I'm going to do a roll call here. Allison,
Aye.
Diane,
Yes.
Kim,
Yes.
I vote yes. Is Amy on?
I don't see her.
Okay. Devin?
Yes.
Gretchen?
Yes.
Jenny?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Okay, so with that, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 yeses. And it moves forward to the full board. Thank you. The next item on our agenda is the Easton Board of Education Curriculum Committee meeting dates for 2021. So you should all have a copy of the schedule, which includes a March 9th meeting, a June 1st meeting, a September 14th meeting, and a December 7th meeting. You'll notice that the meetings are joint meetings. Oh, you won't notice that because they're not noticed that way. But these have been scheduled to occur at the same time and in the same place as the Reading Board of Education Curriculum Committee meetings, with the hope that the great majority of our topics are shared between the two districts. So the meeting location goes back and forth between the two districts. All right. Do I have a motion to approve the meeting dates for 2021?
So moved.
Is that Gretchen?
Yes.
And a second?
Second.
Was that Devin?
Yes.
Yep.
Any further discussion? So the meetings are noted as being in person, and certainly if the executive order stands that the meetings may occur remotely, we will continue to hold them remotely.
Was it the 7th or the 17th in December?
7th.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All in favor?
I
Aye. Allison.
Jenny, yes.
Gretchen, yes.
Diane, yes.
Are there any no's? Okay. That moves forward. Thank you. The next item on our agenda is public comment. Are there members of the comment? I did it again, twice in one meeting. And the night is young. Are
Yeah.
there members of the public that would like to make a comment? Hearing none. John, do you see any hands
I do
raised?
not.
I
I
do
do
not.
not. I do not see.
Thank you.
Oh,
Committee member.
you know
Oh.
what? I'm sorry. If we stop the screen share, there you go. Okay. Yeah, I
Okay.
do not see.
Now I can see the full group.
Yep, yep.
Thank you.
Just for a committee member comment, I would just say it is absolutely worth noting clearly that the math specialists and all the people who did the work of evaluating these resources put a lot of effort in. And I think that's going to pay dividends. I think we're ending up with the right answer, but it also means that they're going to have a certain amount of familiarity with these resources that is going to lend itself to sort of the quickest, sort of on ramping of it. So, very, very good work on their part, and the dedication, does not go unnoticed. So, many
Thank
thanks to them.
Yes, indeed. My appreciation to our math specialists and our teacher representatives, but our math specialists spent countless hours, both at central office, their home schools, and then also at home, reviewing these materials. We participated in several multi-hour meetings, drilling down into the chapter level detail of each one of the final 3 contenders to be sure that we were absolutely comfortable that the backup of the tangible resource matched what was shared during the sales presentation. So I'm very grateful for their hard work and commitment.
John, when will we talk about, is it on, I apologize if it's on tonight's agenda, but when will we talk and work about how to help move this forward as quickly as possible?
So bear with me one moment and let me just peek at the agenda, because
It's on the agenda.
off the top of my head or recollection, I think it's right. Item 6A. We'll talk about that there.
Okay, I saw the adoption of it, but I wasn't sure if that included talking about allocating resources and what actually needs to happen to make sure that it can be used.
Yeah, I doubt that we're going to get into that conversation tonight. I think we'll probably need to understand better the amount of sort of resources that'll be available to us to allocate if we were going to do something this year. So we just need to have a better handle on sort of how we're tracking, how much breakage there is that breaks in our favor, and if that allows us to use some of those funds for the books, I would, to sort of spend some of that this year, so that then we can get them into the hands of our teachers. What in my opinion is, the right schedule, not early. So I love the idea of us doing that, and I hope we can come together on that. But it's probably going to be a February at the earliest conversation. Would you agree with that, Stephanie?
Well, let's see. So Reading first discussed it last week, and they will be moving forward this Thursday.
Mhm.
So I don't recall from the statute if the number of days that need to pass between the public notice
Mhm.
and action.
Okay.
We'd have to check. So it would either be at your next meeting or February.
Okay.
Because there is another Easton board
Right.
meeting in January. Yes. Okay.
Right. We have I think special. Oh, it's actually not a special meeting because we have it on the calendar already. But that's for budget, and I think we'll probably need it for budget. But we can adjust the agenda as needed if we need to get into this topic too.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. And finally, do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
Second? Is that Jenny?
Yep.
And all in favor?
Hi.
It's
Okay.
unanimous.
So we are adjourned at 7:04. Thank you, everyone. See you in about
Thank you.
25
See you soon.
minutes.
Yeah. Thanks, everybody.